Pete Dahlgren building the F-86 by Mears Models. We're fed up at this point, guys. There are a lot of things I was showing you earlier where I was doing sub-assemblies and stuff, but we are not glued yet. And I'm just basically clamped together. Now, a few things I'm finding out is that I told you guys I was building this on an I-beam, and basically it didn't really, it became too tall and too overkill for what I was doing, and so I just used a plank. And basically what I done here is I made sure this is actually one of the parts. I glued this. I had this planed, and then I had it primed, because then I can actually pop this loose later if I need to. But these are actually true, and I'm gluing these as I go on this side. This side, as you can see, is straight as a gunshot, and it has to be. And if you don't, it won't look like that. I mean, the main thing is in here is to get all your parts lined up and straight without using any glue in there. And guys, this stuff is just loose fit, but it does stop. Now, I opted to glue these in place and just clamp them and glue them as I went, because of the fact is these are a nightmare to fit in if you do more than 2 of them at a time. It's tricky. And to keep the airplane straight and true, then it's good. Now, as you can see, the frames here, I put this on because everything is just fit. Now, I am showing a lot of this because a lot of this is, like I said, a lot of it is just fit in. Nothing is glued yet. And I love to use tape to get certain things done. Now, when I put that in there, it'll be just like so. And I'll glue that and whatever. But it's like I said, we're fit up. No glue. I mean, there's a couple parts that I have glued in under here just because I kind of needed to make sure that the thing stays straight. And it can be a little tricky. The only thing is, take your time. Look at the PDFs carefully. Now, the one thing we will be doing here is leveling this airplane again, because the wing tube parts, and there's a lot of pieces that go right in here, and that will actually strengthen a lot of this. And there's other parts that simply sit in, but there's other parts that do glue in, like in here, that snap in there, and they actually do snap together, guys. They really outdid themselves when they designed this, because everything fits precisely perfect. Here is where this thing will split, and it's a 2-piece fuselage. I opted to put a little bit longer alignment pins in it so that when I do go to put it together, it'll be fine. Now, it does need to be cut in here and here on both sides. And after it's glued, I will do that. But I'll do it with a longer razor saw and just gently cut it through. At the same time you do that, you have the mounts that are going to have to be done as well. Now, this is going to be quite the setup. I mean, I've never seen anything so well built in my life. I mean, this thing is really cool to actually look at it and watch it to go together. It literally falls together as you're actually putting the parts in there. And if you're considering any of Mears' kits, this is by far one of the best I've ever built. And as far as design and CAD design and laser cutting, the parts are absolutely beautiful. And not a worry, no worries. One thing you do want to do is when you get these set, again, you want to make sure they seat down, but before you do this, you put a little clamp on there and glue these. And make sure they're all glued. The main reason for a lot of it is because of that. Now, this is a screw I use to actually level this thing with. I'll show you guys that a little later. And it works, and it actually holds it in place pretty well. So as I was saying before, this thing is just basically, it's basically gravity is holding it together. Nothing is glued yet. And that's just how nice these joints are. They're literally, they will literally disappear as you go. But we're going to start doing a little bit more deal. Now we're going to have to do a little bit of scratch building. The one thing we got to finish doing is actually building the lower keel in here, and that's pretty important on it because that's what's keeping it open for the landing gear and stuff. But everything happens on this thing very quickly. One thing is, make sure you're facing these two. These are your landing gear braces. Make sure they're facing each other. And then you have a third one here for the front of the block. And it, as you can see, nothing is glued in. I mean, this stuff is just basically sitting there. So we will true everything up as we go. And I will finish getting everything set up. I'm going to glue this up to this point here, and you guys have already seen how I glue, and some like it, some don't, and that's okay. It works for me, so I just do it. And it's like I said, again, these are all loose fit. They need to be clamped, and these little clamps here are worth their weight in gold, guys. I have about 30 of them, and I'm going to go down and get about another 30 of them, I think, because they work so nicely. But anyway, once everything gets to the point where I start gluing, I'll do another video and we'll talk about this. I'm actually going to show you live on how to level the wing tube. It's actually kind of it's really cool how it sits, but you got to level this airplane. This one is perfectly level, but you'll have to see how it's actually done. And it's a big aluminum tube, and it just sits right in here, and this is where all your stuff happens. And before you can glue the ends of the wings and all that stuff on, you got to make sure that you're leveled up and you're good to go. You have to have the tubes to align it. You can't build it without them. And same with the empennage. It'll be there probably tomorrow or the next day, and I'm going to keep plugging on it. And we're getting closer to starting sheeting, and that's going to be a long, boring thing. But anyway, it's a necessary evil, and it's something that a lot of people have requested to see. And planking is not hard, but there is a method to it, and the grocery store is going to love you because we use a lot of Windex to do that. Now, once I get back here and I start gluing this stuff in here, I'll show you how I clamp these and everything else. Everything is loose fit right now, so it's just basically sitting there. But before I actually glued it and show you how rigid it actually does become, then it's actually really good. The only thing that's going to be about this area here, it doesn't have any center keel to it in the bottom, and doesn't have any of this. It's got a lot of other parts, but it's very critical that this part here absolutely be perfectly straight and level when you do it, and we will talk more about that as we get to that point. So thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you on the next video.